There is a type of connection that goes beyond the physical, beyond the emotional, beyond the rational. It is something that seems to touch the soul at a level so deep it defies all logical explanation. I am Liz Rose, a relationship expert, author, and researcher of emotional dynamics between men and women. For years, I have studied attraction, male behavior, emotional intelligence, and the patterns that bring people together or drive them apart. Today, I want to share with you what I have learned through my research, my professional experience, and the thousands of stories I have encountered throughout my journey. In all my years of studying human connection, one truth has stood out above all others. Our most significant relationships do not happen by accident. There are forces, deep and largely invisible, that draw us towards certain people, and that pull goes far beyond chemistry or surface-level attraction. I call this the process of becoming. It is the path by which we move toward who we truly are. And what I have observed again and again is that this path is most often revealed through love. But how do you know if the person beside you or the one you long for is truly the right one? How do you distinguish between a passing passion and a connection that is meant to transform you? That is the question I want to explore with you today. Every profound encounter carries a hidden purpose. I have seen this in the stories of thousands of people across years of research and work. When two people meet at a specific moment in their lives, both moving through similar pain, desire, or transformation, something larger than coincidence is at work. It is as if life creates the exact conditions needed for two souls to genuinely see each other, not just with their eyes, with something much deeper. In those moments, we feel a strange familiarity, a sense that we have known this person for a long time. That feeling cannot be manufactured. It cannot be explained away. It simply happens. And when it does, something inside us shifts permanently. It is not rare for this kind of connection to emerge during crisis, loneliness, or transition. In my research, I have noticed that the soul seems to reach outward most powerfully when we are at our most vulnerable. The deepest love can begin exactly when everything else seems to be falling apart. And it is in that chaos that what has been buried finally rises to the surface. What needs to be seen? What needs to be healed? What needs to be loved? So if you feel that a particular encounter was more than coincidence, that it carries a quiet calling toward something inside you, it may be time to listen. Because in my experience, love does not begin when we fall for someone. It begins when we start to recognize ourselves in them. Real love is not the meeting of two halves that complete each other. It is the union of two individuals who are already in the process of becoming whole. What does that mean in practice? It means no one can save you from yourself. No one can fill the hollow in your identity. No one should carry the weight of your happiness. The right person is not the one who completes you. The right person is the one who challenges you to grow, who reflects parts of you that you have not yet recognized, even the parts you would prefer to hide. This is something I call shadow reflection. Everything we have suppressed or denied in ourselves does not disappear. It waits. And when we fall deeply in love, we often find ourselves projecting those hidden pieces onto the other person. Our unconscious desires, our unmet needs, our deepest fears, all of them show up in the face of the one we love. That projection can be both dangerous and transformative. Many relationships get confused right at this point. We believe we are in love with a person, but in reality, we are enchanted by an image, a fantasy constructed from our deepest lacks. And that, inevitably, leads to frustration. When the other person stops matching the idealized picture, we feel anger, disappointment, and grief. But I have learned to see this as a precious opportunity. It is the chance to see ourselves with greater clarity. The right person is not the one who never causes you pain. They are the one who, even without intending to, activates your blind spots, the places in you that most need light. True love, in that sense, is a kind of psychological alchemy, a painful process of burning and being reborn. That is exactly why it is so rare, because it asks not only for feeling, but for consciousness. It asks you to look inward with honesty, courage, and vulnerability. I have observed in my work that what people fear most, at the deepest level, is being fully seen. Being seen as they truly are, insecure, imperfect, contradictory. That is why so many relationships stay shallow. Because to truly submerge yourself in another person is to first submerge yourself in yourself. And very few things frighten us as much as that. But when two people have the courage to walk through that mirror together, something extraordinary happens. They stop searching for a hero or a safe harbor in each other. They begin to walk side by side as companions. Not to complete each other, but to transform each other. That is love. Not an escape from pain, but a space where even pain can bloom into wisdom. Imagine you find someone and everything feels like it fits. The conversations, the laughter, the shared vision for the future. Everything flows. It feels as though life itself arranged this meeting. And then slowly, that same person begins to unsettle you. They provoke you. They touch wounds you did not even know were there. Sometimes with a glance, sometimes with a silence. And you feel discomfort, anxiety, a fear of losing control. In my experience, this is one of the most powerful signs, even though it feels like the opposite. Real love is not comfortable all the time. It hurts because it exposes. It heals because it bleeds first. When someone activates your shadow, when you find yourself confronting your fears, your jealousy, your need for control, your desperation for acceptance, it is because that person is functioning as a powerful mirror for your soul. And very few people have the courage to look into that mirror without turning away. I want to be clear about something, because I have seen this misunderstood so many times. True love is not a fairy tale. It is a deep psychological process. Every meaningful relationship puts us in contact with hidden parts of ourselves that need to be integrated, and this is the exact opposite of idealization. The person who truly loves you will not confirm your illusions. Consciously or not, they will provoke your growth. And growth hurts. Many relationships begin like a magical encounter full of lightness and ease. But as the bond deepens, it begins to reveal denser layers. Old traumas rise to the surface. Buried insecurities reappear. The fear of rejection, abandonment, and loss begins to show itself. And here is the turning point. Many people give up right at this moment, believing it was never real love. But from everything I have studied and observed, this is precisely where real love begins. Because only when we feel safe enough to be vulnerable do we allow the other person to see who we truly are, not the polished, charming version we present at the start, but the wounded, uncertain, contradictory self. If the person stays, even when faced with your naked truth, then something real exists. True love is not eternal passion. It is consistent presence. It is knowing that even in your darkest phases, someone chooses to remain. Not out of obligation, but out of recognition. Because they see in you not an ideal, but a human being in transformation, and they choose to be part of that process. This is the kind of love I have seen change people's lives. A love that is not a destination, but a journey. One that begins with the other and ends within yourself. More whole, more conscious, more true. One of the most important things I have come to understand through my research is this. Inside each of us exists an unconscious image of the kind of partner we are drawn to. This image is formed over a lifetime, beginning in childhood, shaped by our earliest experiences with love and attachment. This inner blueprint is not conscious, but it powerfully influences who we choose and how we relate to them. When we encounter someone who activates that inner image, we feel a magnetic pull, almost spiritual. We believe we have found our person, our other half. But what is often happening is that we are seeing a reflection of our own inner world projected onto them. I call this the projection trap, and it can be both the beginning of a great love and the root of a great heartbreak. Because no real person can sustain forever the idealized fantasy we have built inside our minds. When that fantasy begins to collapse, when the reality of the other person asserts itself with all its imperfections, the enchantment often breaks. The relationship enters crisis. But that crisis does not have to be the end. It can be the beginning of something far more profound. If we can withdraw the projection and begin to see the other person as they truly are, with their shadows, their fears, their limitations, and their genuine light, then love can become real. The archetypal image gives way to actual human presence. Very few people have the emotional maturity for this. Most of us prefer the comfortable illusion of an ideal to the uncomfortable truth of another person's humanity. That is why so many relationships end when the masks fall. But I believe in a braver path, using that moment as an invitation for integration. When you recognize that what you idealized in the other person is actually a part of yourself that needs acknowledging, you take a profound step toward wholeness. The other person stops being merely an object of desire and becomes a mirror of your own inner life. In that mirror, if you have the courage to truly look, you can find answers about who you are, what needs healing, and who you are capable of becoming. True love, then, is not the love that feeds the illusion. It is the love that survives the truth. That means accepting that the other person is not a savior or a complement. They are an imperfect companion on an imperfect journey, and that imperfection is precisely what makes it so deeply meaningful. This is where most people go wrong when trying to figure out if someone is right for them. They look for perfection. They look for total compatibility, but that is not the question. The real question is, does this person allow you to be who you are? And do you allow that for them in return? Is there space for dialogue, for growth, for deconstruction? Is there a willingness on both sides to look at the difficult things and keep going anyway? In all my years of work, I have found that true love is not the kind that confirms who you already are. It is the kind that transforms you at the deepest level. The right person is not the one who always agrees with you or who spares you from discomfort. They are the one who confronts you and still holds you emotionally and allows you to do the same for them. Love is not fusion. It is tension, a creative tension between two individuals who are constantly evolving. That tension is inevitable because every human being is a unique universe, carrying their own history, their own wounds, their own patterns of being. When two of those worlds meet, there is beauty and there is also conflict. That is not a problem. It is the nature of genuine intimacy. What determines whether a relationship is healthy is whether both people can hold that tension without resorting to dominance, manipulation, or escape. I see intimate relationships as the most powerful laboratory the soul has. They are places where our oldest wounds and our highest potentials can both surface. The right person is not the one who always understands you. They are the one who is willing to try, and you must be willing to do the same. Real connection is built on reciprocity of effort, on patience, on listening, on a genuine desire to grow together. I want to say this clearly. Love that is built on projection, idealization, and emotional dependency will always end in frustration. But love that is built on self-knowledge and mutual respect can become one of the most healing forces a human being will ever experience. Not just emotionally, but at a level that is spiritual, existential, because to be loved for who you fully are, including your shadows and your contradictions, is one of the most transformative experiences available to us. So how do you know if this person is truly for you? There is no checklist. There is no formula. What I offer instead is a deeper way of looking. Pay attention to what this person awakens in you. Not just what they give you, but what they stir inside you. If they invite you toward greater authenticity, greater freedom, greater wholeness, even when that comes with discomfort, that is a significant signal, not a sign of a perfect love, a sign of a real one. If they are drawing out a more truthful version of you, if you find yourself confronting your own patterns in ways you never have before, then this person may be playing an important role in your becoming. But I want to offer a caution here, because I have seen this misread too many times. This does not mean every difficult relationship is meaningful. What I am describing only holds true when there is reciprocity. Loving someone who refuses to grow, who only projects onto you, who manipulates rather than engages, that is not transformation. That is attachment wearing the mask of love. Both people must be willing to see themselves clearly, to listen, to receive, to respect, and to walk forward even when the path changes shape. Because love, real love, is not a straight line. It is a spiral moving toward the center of the self. And if this person is helping you walk that spiral, even imperfectly, even through stumbles and setbacks, then they are part of something that matters. I want to end with the question beneath the question. Most people ask, is this person right for me? But the question I have come to believe matters more is this: am I ready to love someone with this depth? Because this kind of love is not a gift that arrives fully formed. It is something you build every day with maturity, honesty, and courage. The greatest obstacle to real love is not finding the wrong person. It is the unconscious patterns we carry into every connection. It is so much easier to follow the automatic script, to repeat old stories, to choose partners who confirm our fears or feed our fantasies. Real love asks something harder. It asks you to step out of that automatic life and begin to see the other person as a path toward yourself. This love is not based on romantic promises or surface compatibility. It is built on the willingness to be present, to face conflict with maturity, and above all, to accept the full complexity of another human being. That is only possible when you are genuinely committed to your own growth, your own becoming. The right person is not the one who completes you. They are the one who challenges you to become whole. They are the one who, without always knowing it, touches exactly the places in you that most need healing. They are the one who loves not only what you show, but who is genuinely curious about what you hide. And you feel the same toward them. Real love is made of revelation, not illusion. It reaches into psychological, emotional, and spiritual territory. The greatest encounters in a life are not accidental. They are necessary. They happen so the soul can evolve. So if you are with someone who continually invites you toward reflection, toward growth, toward change, even when it is painful, that person is helping you, even unconsciously, to move toward your truest self. And if you have found someone like that, someone who shows you your wounds but also shelters you with theirs, someone who chooses to stay when leaving would be easier, then you may be standing in front of something rare. Not a perfect love, a real one. And a real love is not about finding someone flawless. It is about being willing to live, grow, and transform alongside someone beautifully imperfect, just as you are. Do not only ask whether this person is right for you. Ask yourself, am I ready for this? Because the love I am describing is not something you receive. It is something you become capable of. And when two people build that together, supporting each other, seeing each other with compassion, choosing each other with full awareness, they create something that goes far beyond romance. They create something that changes them both from the inside out. And in my experience, that is the only kind of love that truly lasts.